Boomer.
Hey, good morning, guys. I don't know, 1-5. We got to continue to do this. The contract says I got to do it, and I'm like your guys, Aaron Rodgers. You're what's his name, and I'm Pat McAfee, and I'm Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, listen, Aaron Rodgers out there throwing on the field before the game yesterday. He's looking like he might make a comeback.
Come on, Greg. I mean, that would be remarkable. I was glad he was there for the Jets because they do need his presence, but. I don't expect to see him on the field until next year.
Well, we're on that road to nowhere here, and this team is 1-5 for the. I think the last time the franchise was 1-5, it was under Bill Parcells in 1995. It is unprecedented territory here, Boomer.
Yeah, I know it's tough to deal with, man, and most cities in the NFL have dealt with this over the last 20 years. You guys really haven't. Although I would say the last 3 years have been a little bit rough, even though Mac Jones did get the team to the playoffs his rookie year. But, yeah, yesterday, again, it's just an offense that's stuck in mud. They have a chance to make one play, just one play when it mattered most. And, unfortunately, Devontae Parker let that ball go right through his hands. And I will say this, that would have been a reprieve for Mac Jones because, after slogging through 3 games and really not generating much offense, no excitement, no energy, none of that stuff, he did have a chance, and his teammate let him down. And then, of course, ending with the safety is just it's just like salt in a wound, if you will. So I don't know really what to tell you. They got to go to Buffalo now. Buffalo looked terrible last night. Looked like they had that London hangover was still there. Then Miami. And then they have 2 winnable games against Washington and Indianapolis. So these next 2 games are probably going to tell us really where they stand, especially within the AFC East, and it's not going to be easy.
So when it comes to Mac, it's been a discussion point, obviously, on this show. He comes out, he throws the pick. Tony Romo called it horrendous, and it was. But yet he puts them in a position with that throw to Devontae Parker where they could theoretically win that football game. Where do you stand on him this morning?
It's really tough to say. I mean, after 2 blowouts and 2 benchings, normally the conventional thinking is, let me see my quarterback go through some really rough times, especially in front of our home fans, where he is the, in the eye of the storm, and that's certainly what Mac has been. And let me see if he can pull himself out of it. They don't have any other alternative here. They really don't. I mean, he's got to be the quarterback moving forward. And again, throwing the pass that he threw to Devontae Parker tells me that at least he's still in the game, that he's not quitting on anything. I don't see a lot of energy. I don't see a lot of explosive plays by the offense, which is not really his fault. I mean, he didn't pick the players he's playing with. And then when he does finally give a guy an opportunity to make a play, that guy can't make the play. So maybe he's a little bit a victim of circumstances, but I will say maybe one of the most disappointing aspects to all of this is that they went out and they brought in Bill O'Brien to fix this offense. And this offense has been anything but fixed. I mean, when you look at the amount of points that they have scored, and yesterday 17, again under 20 points, that's just not going to get it done in the NFL consistently.
You mentioned his Mac's body language at halftime when you were talking yesterday. What did you mean by that?
Well, you see the head down on the sideline, and I can understand he's frustrated. He's been really frustrated the last 3 games. And, these are the things that you got to fight through. I do remember many times coming on this radio program and talking often about Tom Brady's gyrations on the sideline, throwing the tablet down, yelling at a coach, yelling at himself, yelling at a player. And he's doing that, or I believed he was doing that, to get himself mentally into the game, to stay up energy-wise. If he ever felt like he was flat in a game, he would do that on the sideline, I think, just to get himself back into it. And I haven't seen that really from Mac. And I'm not saying you have to yell at your coaches. I certainly don't want that. But, I mean, show some emotion as opposed to the body language where you're walking with your head down, your shoulders shrugged. I mean, all of that stuff is not the way that a leader has to carry themselves. And I'm sorry, in the NFL, that's what the quarterback is. The quarterback is the engine of every team. He's the heartbeat of every team. That's why they get paid what they get paid. And even like last night, watching Josh Allen in Buffalo, he was in the midst of a horrendous game. And if I were the Buffalo Bills, I'd be ticked off at the NFL for having them do what we had to do, go to London and then come back and play, as opposed to staying over there. What a mess for the NFL to put Buffalo in. But when the game mattered and when the game counted, Josh Allen came through with huge plays against a very desperate Giants team. So that's really what I'm talking about. It's about carrying yourself as the unquestioned leader and bringing the energy each and every week, which I know is difficult under the circumstances right now.
Boomer, that's a great question. I mean, a great point because, even and with my high school team, the one thing I tell them more than anything is that stay engaged. And it just looks like, Mac and the rest of this team, it looks like they're disengaged, like they don't want to be out there. And that's the most important thing. Even if the score isn't going your way, I think the biggest thing is that you still have to show that body language, that you still want to stay engaged. And I almost feel like the Mac experiment is over. I don't know where you stand on it, but I feel like he doesn't want to be here. They don't want him here. It's probably time to move on.
Well, it's time to move on, but, man, they still got a whole bunch of games left. I mean, they got 14 games left. I mean,
trade them.
I don't know if they can. I don't know if anybody out there would want that. I mean, that's sports talk radio right there. Trade them, get rid of them. But the reality is that there's really nowhere to send him, nothing to do with him other than keep playing him. And there are no quick fixes in the NFL, as you know, Jermaine. You know that. I mean, guys are injured. Some of your best players are not there, especially on defense, although the defense, I thought, played pretty well yesterday. The offense is flat. He's flat. I don't necessarily know what the answer was. We said at halftime yesterday that maybe Malik Cunningham, a couple plays here, a couple plays there to try to rev up the team. That certainly didn't work either. But here's the thing. They are stuck in the abyss of, like, where do we go here on offense? And there really are no answers other than the people in that building. And trades aren't going to happen. And right now, I would think, now conventional wisdom tells me this, I would think that if they go on and they have a terrible, terrible season and have a top 5 draft pick, there'll be one of 3 quarterbacks that they can take with that draft pick that may turn around the fortunes of the franchise moving forward, assuming that Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick are getting along and that they're going to end up remaining together next year.
Also, apparently, there are no quick fixes in high school football either.
No, that's right.
Coaches also 1-5 this morning.
Yep.
Boomer.
It's all right.
That's all right, Coach. Hang in there.
Yeah.
But he is, Courtney, he's right. He is totally right about the energy and staying engaged. And you still are an NFL football player. I played on a really bad Jets team in 1995. I did everything I could as the elder statesman on that team to engage my young teammates, the young rookies that I had on that team, to make sure that they prepared each and every week, that they were ready to go, and that there was an opportunity for us to win each and every week. And lo and behold, we actually did play tough, but unfortunately we didn't have enough and we lost a lot of games.
But say you fix the engagement issue with Mac Jones and you have no other option but to stick with him. In your mind, what's the biggest problem that needs to be fixed? Is it his decision making? Is it his just sheer ability to be able to throw the football? Is it his pocket awareness? What is going on with him when it comes to his issues out on the field?
I think it's confidence, honestly, and I think it's confidence in him. Not so much his own confidence, which I'm sure has been shaken. It's the confidence that his teammates have in him right now. The coaching staff has in him right now. It's obvious that you guys have lost total confidence in him. I'm sure the fan base has lost total confidence in him. And as a quarterback who has been through that, it's a really hard mental thing to deal with. And you know that players around you in your locker room, fans, the newspaper writers, the talk show host, everybody is just dumping on you because you're the starting quarterback and you're the easiest one to dump on regardless of what the situation is around you. Let's say it is their 5th different offensive line combination. Let's say a wide receiver drops a pass. Let's say there's a tip ball that ends up as an interception. Unfortunately, it all goes back to you as the quarterback, and that's the life we lead. That's the life we chose. I would just say that I worry about the team's confidence in him by the way he's carrying himself. And that is a very, very important aspect to playing quarterback in this league and being the ultimate leader.
If iPhones had been around when you played, would you have done a backflip selfie, Boomer?
You know, it reminded me, I did this game on Monday night, Seattle, and I think it was San Francisco, and it was the night that I believe it was San Francisco. It could have been Dallas. I'm not sure which team Terrell Owens was on. But he scored a touchdown, went over to one of the field boxes, and his agent handed him a Sharpie and a football, and he signed it. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then Joe Horn hid the cell phone in the padding around the uprights. I mean, and all 3 of those guys, including Chad Johnson, were going back and forth trying to one-up each other. Look, I don't know about Tyreek Hill and some of the nonsense he pulls, but I got to tell you, he is one hell of a football player. My God.
I think I jinxed the Niners with you last week as well. I mean, that's on me, I think.
Hey, but where was the offense this past week? I guess Jacksonville and Miami are the only two teams that actually showed any life on offense. This was a defensive week when you look at it.
Yeah, and it took Miami some time to get going. But, boom, here's where I kind of disagree with you a little bit when you say you can't trade for him. The Cowboys gave up a 4th-round draft pick for Trey Lance. I think there would be a team out. Take a team like they played yesterday, Vegas. I could see Josh McDaniels maybe giving up something because with Jimmy Garoppolo's issues, you are a team that's, still kind of in the mix a little bit. Maybe McDaniels feels like he just needs to change the scenery because I look at this team, I look at the relationship with him and Bill, I just kind of look at his teammates. Like, there's nothing left there. And I almost feel like there would be teams that feel like, because you know how it is, Boomer, everybody in the NFL, especially coaches, feels like, oh, I can fix that guy. The problem is the coach he's with.
I'm very proud of you. That was a very lucid, very well thought out kind of scenario. I can't argue with that, even though you were arguing with me. And I'm really actually taken aback by how smart that was.
He's working on his questions.
That's it. Courtney, you've been rubbing off on
yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I try.
I see that. But I just don't. It just doesn't usually happen in the NFL. That's the thing. And I know that we still have 2 weeks to go before we get to the trade deadline on Halloween, October 31st. But I don't know. I just don't see them doing that. If it does happen, I owe you a steak dinner down here someday, Jermaine.
All right.
Question of the week for Boomer, presented by McFarland Energy, the trusted source in Greater Boston, the North Shore, and all of Cape Cod when it comes to home heating oil and HVAC work. If we did the draft over, would C.J. Stroud be the top pick, Boomer?
Personally, I think so. I mean, I thought that's what they were going to do, but I think everybody down there fell in love with Bryce Young, down in Carolina, fell in love with Bryce Young. And Bryce Young actually started to show signs of really starting to understand what's going on. They're playing Miami. It's an impossible game for them to win. But I thought he had a really good first half yesterday. But C.J. Stroud is definitely ahead of him as we speak right now.
Frustration-wise, where do you put that with the level for the Patriots when you look at the defense and the offense? We talk about it a lot on the team. If the defense is doing all they can to make sure that they're getting the offense back out on the field, but then you're going 3 and out and the defense has to go back out there. Have you ever been in a locker room where there's been an issue between the offense and the defense, and do you see that happening in New England?
100%, Courtney. It's just human nature. You're out there busting your ass, and all of a sudden you throw an interception for a touchdown, a scoop and score for a touchdown. The other team's defense is scoring. And believe you me, they all have families. They all have people in their lives that they're all talking to, and everybody's in their ear. And that's why coaching is so important in this league, to be able to keep everybody together, especially when your team is losing and you've lost now 3 in a row. And, it looks like there's nowhere to go but up, I guess. But the fact of the matter is it's still human nature to be pointing fingers. And that's what I talk about when I talk about the confidence in someone. Do they have confidence in their quarterback that he can lead them to victory? Tom Brady, that was never a question. And right now, it's probably the biggest question in that locker room amongst the players.
Boomer, I was doing Friday night, I was doing what I always do, which is sitting at home listening to your national show on this radio station. And I heard you say that you feel like the Giants might be a destination for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, well, speculation. It's like a lot of fun. It's radio talk show host stuff. And I just speculated that if the Giants were going to be as bad as they are, and let's say they end up with the first overall draft pick, and I don't know, maybe Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick decide, okay, it's time to move on. There's only one other team that I think Bill Belichick would ever coach, and that would be the New York Giants. He loves the New York Giants. And I know he wants to get that record. I would want to get that record if I were him. That's the win record for head coaches in this league. And, he's going to need about 2 to 3, maybe 4 years to do that. And if Bob Kraft doesn't want to offer him the opportunity to do that, and that scenario played itself out, I could see that happening. So that's what we do in Sports Talk Radio, and you 3 maniacs know that just as much as I do.
Yeah, I just wanted an opportunity for you to go viral again. I love it.
Yes.
All right, Boomer, it's always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next week.
All right, hang in there, kids. I'll see you next week.